2024 sees 5 alarming trends that your kids might be involved in social media. The first alarming trend that we're seeing in social media that could create ruin in their future is what we're calling Mean Girls 2.0. We know that Mean Girls have just gotten a reboot in the movie world, but did you know that the girls are also looking at different ways that they can reboot how they used to do things, extricating people and ostracizing people in 2024? I think most parents can sympathize with this process of going in and out of friendship groups. I think that we all either saw it, we're part of it, we're witness to it, or we're victims of it. The strategy that a lot of the mean girls are using these days is that when this group dynamic change and shift happens and a space inevitably becomes available because some poor girl has been booted, the mean girls now have gone to Snapchat to take applications, as it were, like you were applying for a job. And what the girls groups have to do, or the applicants have to do, is put forward their case. Do they have a swimming pool? Do they have really loose rules at home, like late stay up nights, lots of sleepovers? Perhaps they've got a cute brother or a family holiday house or a boat. The first bad thing is for the poor girl who gets ostracized, it is so loud in social media. Everyone knows about it instantly. It's not just your school and your clique or your group that knows about it. It's every school in the area, and certainly it wasn't long before I found out that this was happening in a lot of the Perth schools, but it's also soul destroying and making quite vulnerable the girl who was applying to go into that group. But that is not even the worst part. The worst part is for the mean girls. Having these Snapchat conversations and putting yourself out there as a mean girl in black and white is actually something that can follow you around for a very long time. And you may think it's gone and in the history, it's really just in rumor and innuendo and really dusty memories right now. But sadly today, we live in an era of screenshots and screen recordings. So make sure you have a conversation with your kids going through social media and make sure that they're not part of this kind of mean girls dynamic that is happening right now. The second alarming social media trend is what I call catfishing for reputation ruin, where the kids seem to think that if you create a social media account in someone else's name, whether that be an anonymous made-up name of, Betty Joe Blue, or if you do it particularly under your mate's name and then make comments, post embarrassing photos, make comments on other kids' profiles, and also make comments on other parents' profiles. These kids seem to think, and I'm speaking to a couple of particular ones out there, the kids seem to think that we're either daft or they think they're super smart because they think that we can't figure out who they are if they started up under a pseudonym, under a fake name, or under someone else's name.
Detectives did not have a suspect. We couldn't do anything with that profile.
If you didn't have a suspect, it didn't solve the case.
Well, let me tell you, it took me a solid 5 minutes to figure out who this kid was that started up these accounts. And as parents, we really need to reinforce this with our kids, that there's very little anonymity in social media with the right tools and with the right skills. The second issue I have with this catfishing for reputation ruin is more about when you use someone else's name. So you use your mate's name, and I do this very loosely because a mate shouldn't do this to another mate. Because what can happen is people can believe it is that actual kid that is posting these things. And some of the stuff I've seen has been rude sexual stuff about parents, has been embarrassing photos of their friends, and racist and inappropriate language used on comments in other kids' posts, other kids' feeds, and on that feed. The third alarming social media trend is what I call the comment pile-on. As you would know if you have been watching me for a little while, or if you're new, welcome. I do a lot of videos about managing the social media world as a parent because I do run and own my own digital marketing agency. I've been in social media for more than a decade and a half now, and I also am the parent of a teen and a tween. And because I do a lot of videos about kids in social media and what they're up to and what they're doing and what apps are good and what things are bad, I get a lot of shut the fuck up, I bet your kids hate you don't know what you're talking about, shut up and go back to your kitchen, all these kind of ridiculous comments. Anecdotally, certainly the kids feel like there is safety in numbers. I imagine they feel like it's like whispering in a crowd. If everyone is making all this noise in the comments section and everyone's being brave and saying, shut up and your kids hate you and all this other stuff, then they feel like that they can get away with it as well. Technology is moving so fast and there is a lot of programs out there that can actually siphon out every single comment someone has made, every single post that someone has made on social media and put it in a report for someone to review. So that's in your future when you are going for a job, or if you are just looking to get a role in media or in politics, you really are limiting your options by making all these ridiculous comments out there in your social media. The second issue around making poorly thought out comments is that particularly in TikTok, a creator can use your comment to create a response or response video and highlight your comment and therefore your profile in doing so. I've seen many adult accounts be shut down after a creator has pulled out a comment because all of their followers and all of the commenters follow that comment to that person's profile and then go for them. And our kids just don't have the emotional resilience in their toolbox at the moment to be able to handle that amount of onslaught in TikTok. And I've said it before, TikTok is a great application, but it does love an argument and it does love hate. In terms of trolling in that space, I'm totally fine. I can handle it when a 12-year-old sledges me on social media. But some people, A, don't care that you're a child. They feel like if you have the gall enough to comment on their social media, then they will do a response video and you will be a target. Or B, they just don't know. They don't know you're a kid. So if you are a parent, making sure that you keep your children aware of the potential consequences of making these comments, but also how it may swing back round and impact on them. The fourth alarming social media trend is no different than it has been for the last, God knows how many years since social media has been around. Nudes and sexting. There is so many problems with not only sending it, but being the recipient. As a parent of boys, particularly, I have this conversation regularly. They hate it, but I would rather have them be annoyed at me saying the things and having this conversation over and over than for them not to feel like they know what to do and feel like that they could trust me and talk to me if something went awry. In Australia and most countries, it is illegal to possess, transmit, take any material or sexually explicit material, nude, of any child that is under 18 or that appears under 18. Any child over the age of 10, just keep that in mind, over the age of 10, if they pass on an image that was sent to them, they can be charged with the transmission of child exploitation material. So we really need to be having these conversations with our kids early, because the only safe way to manage getting material like this, even if that image, that voice, that video was unsolicited, they never asked for it, but it happened to be sent to them, they must delete it immediately. As a parent, I cannot impress this enough. Your children's first response should be whatever they see, do not show it to a friend. Absolutely do not send it on to someone else. Passing that on can really ruin not only that other person's life, that is the picture of them, but the person who passes it on, because they can track that. You must delete it from your device immediately, all devices, and then reach out and call a trusted parent or adult. The fifth alarming social media trend that your child might be involved in that could ruin their future has more about what other people can do and understanding that key underlying rule that I say about social media. It is forever. I don't care if it's a story that disappears in 12 hours. I don't care if you deleted the message straight after you sent it. I don't care if it was up for only 5 minutes. People can screen record, people can screenshot. Social media is forever. In fact, it reminds me of a case literally late last year that I think that everyone should keep very much in their mind. There was a couple of really popular TikTok influencers called London and Olivia. They recently got married and it was all very happy. They were very popular, they're much loved. And you need to keep in mind that London, when she got married, was 26 years old. So London, when she was a teenager, made several tweets and they were racist in nature, some of them using the N-word, saying go back to your own country. Not great stuff to put out there on social media. Someone saw these tweets, screenshot these tweets, and then held onto them and decided to release them on the eve of her honeymoon, just after her wedding. I know that my mum used to tell me that never write anything down that you wouldn't want seen on the front page of the West Australian. And that's a bit old school these days. Maybe a conversation around your kids is don't ever put something in writing or video or voice chat that you wouldn't want being a viral reel or a viral TikTok. Having that conversation with your kids, making sure that they're responsible in what they're writing down, but also encouraging them to go through their old text messages, their old DMs, their old videos and their archives in their social media, and maybe go through and delete a few things if you think they haven't aged very well. So adults should do that as well, but definitely kids should be doing it too, because they do not have that kind of consequences action connection that's really solid yet. Another little bonus tip for both parents and kids actually, it's an alarming new development rather than a trend in social media. There is now AI social media vetting, which is happening. It looks at every comment that you have made. It looks at every image that you have put up. Things like how many times you swear or use certain words, if you've ever used racist language, if you talked poorly about a classmate or used bullying language in 2008, if you talked poorly about a company that you worked for 10 years ago. It will also look at the type of pages and groups that you follow. So if that is not in line with the company's ethics, then that could cost you your job, your scholarship, or even your future if you wanted to take a more political or media-based future. So how do we as parents navigate these murky waters of what our kids might be doing in social media and how it may absolutely blow up their future if they don't navigate it correctly? I've always said knowledge and communication is your superpower. As much as I know every parent is going to hate on me for saying this, get on the social media platforms. Social media doesn't care if you don't like it. So make sure that you get in there and you understand what Snapchat is. You understand what the trends in TikTok are. You understand how they're communicating in Facebook potentially. Not really, that's not where they are. But in all those sort of categories, you need to understand the platforms where your kids are spending the most time. So you know what you're talking about and you have some insight, but also so that you can start a conversation with your kids. Sometimes that's just them educating you a bit. They love showing us what they're doing and how to do it and that they're smarter than us. I don't want to say everything in social media is bad. I'm an advocate for kids using social media, and I certainly am not an advocate for spying on your kids as much as all the trolls in social media seem to think that I love to spy on my kids. I'm an advocate of knowing what's going on in social media and having conversations with your kids, so should a challenging situation arise, they would feel like you are A, armed with the knowledge to at least understand the simple concepts, and B, they would feel comfortable coming to you and talking to you about it because you've already opened that conversation regularly. So you can ask things like, oh, what would you do if this happened to you? Or, oh, I saw on Nick's video the other day that this is happening in social media at the moment. Have you seen that happen at your school? Having those kind of opportunities to start those conversations is what's going to give you the best start as a parent. I do a lot of videos around kids in social media. I also talk a lot about how you can navigate that jungle as a small business. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in my next one. So one of the trends that, what is that word? So the way the mean girls have reinvented.